All right, and here we are on our inaugural Sunday night special show. I'll be interviewing some guests tonight and letting them tell their story about their involvement with the Indian cannabis prohibition movement, I guess would be a better way to say it. And without further ado, I guess I will go ahead and introduce them briefly. Their names are Pat and Lynn Kempen, and they're from southern Missouri, down nearabouts and around the Boot Hill area, or at least they have better access to it than we do from here, trying to get over all the hills and stuff. So, Pat and Lynn, why don't you kind of tell us a little bit about maybe how we came to know each other, involved with the movement of different initiatives in Missouri, and what you guys have been doing since then and before then.
I guess Lynn could start with the how we got started with the Missouri Restoration or Cannabis Restoration and Protection Act with Mark Pedersen.
How specifically did we? I know Pat was he's a disabled veteran, and given the choice, he chose to not take opioid medications. And cannabis seemed like a fantastic alternative, but it's not legal here in this state. And when I see something that's unjust and not right, I like to jump in with both feet and try to make it right. So that's what I just saw, that there was a need to fix this problem in the state as to why this plant is prohibited. Federally, I'd like to do it as well, but
you got to start somewhere.
Start where you have to. And Missouri Cannabis Restoration and Protection Act was already drafted and filed with the Secretary of State, and it's a fantastically worded initiative, simple to the point, 12 points that are just beautiful. I really find it a flawless measure, other than I would have put it in the Bill of Rights section, but that's a moot point. I think it's put in the executive branch section of our Constitution, but everything else in it, I think, fantastically written. It makes a lot of sense, and we need this plant. We need this plant restored to the people. I think it can absolutely rejuvenate our economy, help the environment, help the people's health, just all around.
Yeah, once you saw that there was an initiative written, we had to be a part of it. It's when you see something that can work with it. This can work.
It seems to be working so far. I'm very pleased with the results that I've seen and witnessed myself to this point. It's pretty awesome, I guess. Almost looking forward to November, I think, for a change. I don't know.
Well, in May it'll be exciting to see if we get enough signatures. We're well on our way, though. We've been at this since April of last year, to my knowledge, so we have a big jump on competing measures that are medical-only prohibitionist measures, from my opinion.
Yeah, we keep getting asked, how many signatures do we have? And the only answer to that is not enough.
Yep, keep going until we have to hand them in at the deadline. So May 8th is when they have to be in at the Secretary of State's office. So in the month of April, we'll all be collectively from all parts of the state. There's a lot of individual groups and leaders that have been really active in this. Come the month of April, we'll be collating and boxing and getting ready to get them in.
Yeah, look for your people that are petitioners.
Well, we've been pretty lucky and had some mighty fine weather to get out there and get them names on the initiatives and petitions. So I mean, we couldn't ask for a better time to have to be out canvassing and collecting signatures than what we've had this winter anyway.
Yeah, from what I hear, this weekend was a huge boom when it comes to signatures. Lots of them.
Yeah. The public is just so supportive of it, too.
Yeah, they're just looking for people that they can sign. Where can I sign? Where can I sign?
Yeah, it's really pretty exciting when you get out there and it's fun and you start meeting. You realize, your neighbor, your grocer, your doctor, your lawyer, your vet, your whoever. I've really very seldom run into anybody that has a problem with it at all.
Yeah.
The only opponents are people that are in the prison industrial complex, prison guard unions, stuff like that, big pharma, and the alcohol industry.
Anybody that lose money with prohibition being outlawed?
And interestingly, most of those are supporting the competing measure by New Approach Missouri. They have a lot of support from the alcohol industry, from drug addiction counseling centers and things like that.
Attorneys and
attorneys, things that do profit from prohibition. Just point of interest.
Exactly. Well, they don't want to lose their money machine, so.
Yeah, and that's just it. You can't even really compare the two measures. I don't know how familiar everybody who listens to this show are with both measures, but it's not even comparing apples and oranges. How did you put it, Pat? It's like comparing apples and submarines. If either measure individually go through, we're talking New Approach Missouri is a big, huge government, just monopoly on this plant, while ours is a liberty, just restoring a right to the people, and it would make the economy thrive, not through taxation, but through just thriving and the people thriving, and thereby the government prospering from that as well, where the alternative measure is just big government, license, tax, fees, blah, 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 all these restrictions. No. This is a non-toxic plant. Give it back to the people. Let the people thrive.
Yeah, it is not medicinal marijuana. This is cannabis, period. Yeah. It's a nutrient. It is a clothing. It is an oil. It is, what do you want it to be? Because I'm guessing it'll be close to being able to make it, or at least be part of it.
I think we're going to discover a lot of things that we didn't even know we could do with it once we turn it loose.
If the voters out there could understand the opportunity that this initiative would give our state, and people keep pointing to Colorado as if that's such a fabulous thing for their economy. Yes, but all that tax restriction has made it cost prohibitive for a lot of the patients to access it, and all that money is getting funneled through the government. Why can't the people profit from it? And if our initiative does succeed, and we stand a good chance of getting it on the ballot, as long as the signatures are counted accurately, you're talking the economy from agriculture, manufacturing, just everything. And then you have secondary and tertiary industries after that, like tractors and tires and the
fenders.
It just goes on and on. I think Missouri's economy would just catapult to the stratosphere as far as succeeding in comparison to the likes of Colorado or any other. This plant holds that much potential.
And from my understanding, this area is considered one of the best growing available areas there are.
Yeah, the climate's perfect.
The climate and soil, and it just all in this area. It's just perfect. This was one of the top three growing during World War II for the hemp products. And you figure, what was it, Wisconsin
and Missouri. And ironically, we're originally from Wisconsin, so that's kind of funny.
And I think it was Kentucky.
Yeah.
Those three areas were just the mainstay of hemp. So the farmers
Kentucky was going to be my guess, for sure.
I'm sorry?
What was that?
Yeah, Kentucky was going to be my guess as the third most. Yeah.
Well, the farmers, they know how much availability could be had for this, and the profits and the economic scale that would be put back into the people's hands. Everybody talks everybody talks about medicinal. Talk about the rest of the stuff. Medicinal is great.
The farmers see it as a crop, a crop, not a medicine,
And that's the way it should be looked at. Because the cattle themselves could live off of it. The people can live off of it. It's nutrients, clothing, like I was saying earlier. It's just so many things out there.
Right, and some of the, I think we were talking about it on our last show maybe, one of the things that's often overlooked is its ability to, with its root system, absorb toxins from the soil itself. It cleans up the soil it lives in. It's amazing.
Yeah, speaking of which, Oregon County right now, 4,500 acres, they got paid, I don't know, a lot of money to clean this area up because of lead poisoning. Why don't they plant?
In St. Louis, they have that landfill with radiation. They're using cannabis in Chernobyl to extract the radiation from the soil, and it's working. They could be using that in St. Louis at that burning landfill.
Well, any irradiated zone, you could plant this plant, if nothing else, to clean the dirt up. Help, if nothing. But it's usable. Let's use it. Why is it outlawed?
And restricted like that. And I guess we could go into the criticisms of our initiative, of what opponents say of it, if you'd like.
Sure, why not?
Why not? Okay. Well, one of the first ones is the age restriction. Opponents of our measure, because it's a very brief measure, point to, oh, well, that doesn't have an age restriction, and you're going to have kids going out and buying this and blah, blah, blah. Well, does the Second Amendment have an age restriction? No. The Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution I'm speaking of. Same with buying a gun or alcohol. There's no age restriction on that in our Constitution. The Constitution is not a place to micromanage a plant. That's what I really like about this particular initiative. It's short and to the point. 12 points, it's on one piece of paper. New Approach Missouri's measure, on the other hand, is 12 pages of...
Hard to understand, according to Trish today.
Yes, it is very hard to understand, and I think parts of it conflict. I don't even want to go there. Ours is that there isn't an age restriction, and yes, there is not, because it doesn't need to be. Second Amendment doesn't have an age restriction, neither does this. There are so many toxins that minors can go buy in the store, toxins that could be deadly to them. And there's
sugar?
Yeah, you can die from too much sugar. There's so many things that you can die from or get a buzz off of or whatever that are not, that have no age restriction, and children can get it. It comes down to some personal responsibility, and we're talking about a non-toxic, nourishing plant. So I think that kind of negates that argument. If the state of Missouri does want an age restriction, that'll be dealt with in state statute, just like it is for alcohol and guns. So end of story there. Another criticism is the DUI. Yeah. They're like, that's their second big criticism, is that our initiative doesn't address the DUI issue. Well, all it says is that just having it in your system or on your possession does not make you subject to DUI automatically. That doesn't mean that you can drive impaired under cannabis. Impaired driving remains impaired driving, and anyone who is impaired,
for any reason,
law enforcement has the authority to arrest you for impaired driving over any substance, pharmaceutical, cannabis, or alcohol. For alcohol, it doesn't even have to be 0.08% blood alcohol content. You can be arrested and charged with driving under the influence of alcohol for less than 0.08. It's not as magic a number as they like to make it out to be. Impaired driving is impaired driving, and cannabis is unique in that different bodies metabolize it in a different way, and it stays in your system for a long time. There isn't any magic number. They've been trying to find that like they did with blood alcohol. It just doesn't work. If you're impaired, you're impaired. You're going to be arrested. They're still arresting people in states where it's legal for it, although it hasn't gone up that significantly in the states where it has been legalized. But I think that's another kind of a moot point.
Well, not really, because the DUI from alcohol has decreased, plus the per capita.
Yes, in Colorado, that's true. From alcohol, DUI has gone down.
And I believe traffic fatalities has also decreased as well.
Yeah, significantly. And those numbers, when I was looking at them, they're not even taking into account the increase in population. They're just showing the numbers, not per capita. So that's really gone down significantly. So win-win there. So that was the secondary criticism that they have. The next one
is a basic argument.
Well, yeah, that, one of them is limits. Well, we have to limit the quantity. We just can't have people having, they shouldn't have more than plants per new approaches measure, or however many. Some states have 12 plants, whatever. Who does such quantity limits benefit, be it plants or just quantity of the plant product? Who does that help? I can't think of anybody other than profiteers from the state. There's no reason to limit the quantity. Do people have a limitation on how many tomato plants they can have in their garden? How much a farmer can plant of corn?
Yeah, limiting the number of plants is what, in my opinion, it's more about controlling the extract market than it is the personal use market. Because in order to make extracts, you need a lot of plant material, and it's not the same, And so that's a way there's a lot of money in the extract business for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And if you can't make it at home, you got to go out and buy it. Who do you buy it from? Well, the people that control it.
Well, and New Approach Missouri's measure prohibits even people that pay the extra money for having a license to grow their up to 6 plants, an arbitrary number, but okay. Even the people that pay that extra $100 annual licensing fee to cultivate in their home are prohibited from extracting the resins. So who is that actually benefiting other than those who want to just smoke it? I don't know.
Well, if they get it into the recreational market instead of the medicinal market where it sort of grew out of, originally, in 1996, California passed the first medical legal initiative, and everything else has grown out of that. But once they get it into the recreational market, then they can regulate it and tax it and license it a whole lot more efficiently and make a lot more money for the government.
Well, that's one way of thinking about it, but I couldn't agree with that. What it does is it's the black market, and it creates the policing. The profiteers can still arrest the people they don't like. If somebody's making a profit in the black market and they don't want it, they can arrest them anytime they want. Throw them in jail and let the people pay for it yet.
Yeah.
Right. And as long as it's overpriced in a regulated recreational or medicinal market, there's going to be a black market, period.
Exactly. So if you make a free market out of this plant, turn it into like any other plant that's out there, oak tree, corn plant, tomato plant, a rose. I mean, there's not too many of these plants out there that are non-toxic, but they sell those. It's the nightshade in the tomato plant. You want to make nightshade, there you go. So it's why is it that this plant is being controlled?
The argument that, children, it hurts, their brains are still developing and it's going to hurt those developing brains. I have not seen any scientific evidence. I have looked for it and I haven't seen it that validates that claim. In fact, I've seen kind of the opposite in that it helps kids that are affected with ADD, ADHD, people with anxiety, and people with traumatic brain injuries. It actually helps restore brain. I don't know exactly scientifically how, but it almost sounds like it helps restore the synapses of how neurologically the brain functions. So I just haven't seen any brain damage from it. I'm not advocating that people, test limits with regard to its use, and I'm not advocating that children go out and smoke it in any way. I'm not saying that that's helpful, but let's have some common sense with regard to this.
Well, let's learn about this plant. Let's learn the realities. What is good? What is bad? What is too much? What is not enough? These are all things that we need to figure out. We do know that it is a very useful plant. How useful? We don't know yet. We haven't found its limits. How dangerous is it? Well, they've been studying that for a long time, and they can't find too many dangers. I'm not aware of any, except for the high that it creates. And they say about psychosis. And,
Yeah, where it actually helps, though, with schizophrenia and things like that.
Right. They used to say it causes schizophrenia. Now the new look at it is, the schizophrenia mind is looking for a cure and happens to find this plant to help it. So a lot of the past preconceived notions are being proven wrong. The prohibition has worked. The propaganda machine has been controlling every aspect of this since the 40s, 30s even.
Filled up our prisons and jails. I don't know of a county in this state, I'm sure that there are some, but most every county I know is looking to expand. They want more money, more taxes to expand their prisons and jails. And what I understand is almost half of arrests or people in prison are for drug offenses. If this plant were restored to the people, taken off of the controlled substance list and the people exonerated, how much opportunity would that free up for law enforcement to tackle real crime and real toxic drugs like heroin, meth, cocaine? So that's another exciting aspect that our initiative gives to the people.
I brought that up to our local community, and I asked to speak in front of our county commissioners. Had an appointment on the books, ready to speak in front of them. And when the time came up, I called them to see if it was still going, and they said they erased it from the books because they will not hear it. So it's just...
Nope. We'll keep at them.
Yeah.
More than that.
Sometimes a blind mind doesn't want to be enlightened, I guess. So.
Well, they don't want to know the realities of it. They don't want to, because they seem to be part of the problem, and they don't seem to mind. They want to listen to the wrong people because they have a cure. Even though it doesn't work, they feel better. The fear-mongering has taken its toll. People just need to take another look and realize there is a cure for most of the problems that they talk about. And the cure is a right that should be a God-given right to us people.
It's kind of funny. We've gone at it sometimes asking, is there a problem there's got to be a problem out there that cannabis can't help or fix. I'm sure that there are some, but it's almost funny. If you come up with think of anything, pollution, teenage pregnancy, just think of any societal problem that we have. In one way or another, cannabis can probably improve the situation.
Okay, now the teenage pregnancy part is a new one on me. How does that work? I'm not sure.
Okay, I'm trying to remember. Pat was the one who came up with the argument of that one because I was joking. That one, and I think that, and he can't remember it right now, but I think it was, for one thing, it's nutritious. I know. What do they call it when they throw up? Morning sickness. I never had that, thankfully, but it would help sickness.
Feeding the child, breast milk. CBD or the cannabinoids are going through the breast milk anyway.
Anyway, yes.
Yeah, that's when I really run into somebody that doesn't understand. I try to inform them about the endocannabinoidal system that exists in our bodies. It's made to facilitate the cannabinoids in cannabis, and our bodies make cannabinoids. It's in mama's milk. Babies are fed on it. Not just people, other critters as well. So
it's a thing that breeds, I guess. From my understanding, everything
God made us with.
Yeah, it's like it's a co-evolved special interrelationship. I don't know if that's too big of words for most people, but we're kind of here together, and we are interdependent on one another for things.
Yep. Well, it regulates so many things in our own body. It's like the natural cure. I can't even say cure, but it just assists the body to be healthy.
I consume cannabis, but I do think it should be my right to if I so chose. If I got sick, I really do think it would be my right to, and I would fight it on that basis, that it is my right to life. A lot of people, that it comes down to the right to life.
Oh, we started making a list of what rights it's interfering with. You know, you have the First Amendment.
Oh, yeah, but...
Excuse me. And you figure even Benjamin Franklin discussed this. The cannabis itself, how do you make the paper without the cannabis plant? Because he put out how important...
I think he's getting at the right to free press.
Yes.
The press needs paper, and hemp paper is one of the most efficient ways to make paper. That's all the drafts of the U.S. Constitution were written on it.
And it's the people's paper. It's what, if a person wants to make paper, they can go in their backyard, chop down a few plants, and make their paper.
Yeah, that was the First Amendment. The Second Amendment, we're talking the U.S. Constitution, not the Missouri Constitution. The need for defense and armor. The Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And
look up the word arms. It has to do with defense, armory, armor.
It is so strong. It's a strong material for defense.
3 times stronger, 10 times lighter than steel. Imagine the shielding we could create.
Why did they prohibit? Are they infringing? Now we got the First Amendment, the Second Amendment. The fourth, let's see, the right of people to secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures.
Well, the drug laws allow them to walk in even if they suspect, so they're going against the Fourth Amendment right now because of the plan.
Yeah. And with what new approach Missouri is proposing makes Department of Health and Senior Services into this government bureaucracy that's just ginormous and totally gives them authority, godlike authority, to do any kind of seizure, search, whatever the heck they want to do. So, anyway, I can go on.
There's on and on. So a bunch of the amendments, it just fits right into the protections. It should, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, well, believe it or not, we're winding down. We're a little under about 20 seconds left. And we're going to go ahead and keep talking for another 10 or 15 minutes after this, and that'll be in the archives. So we'll see y'all there and kick this out for just a minute.
The herd mentality.
All right. Good enough.
All right.
Yeah, okay. What amendment were we on?
Okay. We finished with the Fourth Amendment. We already established that it pretty much prohibition violates the First Amendment, Second and Fourth. Now the Fifth Amendment is about
life and
you
liberty.
shall not be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against thyself, nor deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law.
Right. For that, they're taking away our life and our liberty.
And asset forfeiture, which New Approach Missouri makes sure that they make asset forfeiture okay in.
So that's the Fifth Amendment.
And
I think then it jumps to the Eighth Amendment.
Yes. Unusual punishment inflicted. You can have cruel or unusual punishment.
Now, how is this not cruel and unusual punishment for punishing somebody for a plant?
A non-toxic plant that has been
around as long as history is known.
Right.
And it's like, are you kidding me? Okay, we are not supposed to have unusual punishment, cruel and unusual. What would you consider being jailed and the rest of your life ruined because of what is in your punishment files? You are now a criminal.
For having a plan. Or a lease.
Yeah.
Amendment 9, the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights, like the right to life, shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. And I just know too many patients and just people that this actually is necessary for them to continue living. Cancer patients, fibromyalgia patients, chronic pain patients, opioids kill.
Epilepsy,
for sure.
A huge one, epilepsy. And epilepsy has been documented since the medications have started out.
Right.
I think even gout was part of it.
Yeah.
But I'd have to verify that one.
So it just, I just think that prohibition is a crime against humanity, and they can't keep up this fraud much longer, and I'm going to do all that I can to see that they stop it. Or they'll stop me, one way or another.
Well, I think there's more and more of us all the time that feel the same way, and that's the good part that I see about it. It's not going to be, I think we're getting to the short end of the rose, on the harvest time, maybe, hopefully.
I'm really hoping so right now, and I'm praying that that's the case. This has gone on long enough. People are suffering to the point of, as Lynn put it, a crime against humanity. People are dying because of a choice other people are making to keep a plant away from them.
Based on false information.
And the reason they're doing it is because it's on false information. So as long as you, Lynn and I, and so many of these other people that have been working like crazy to get signatures and help get the education known, keep on going. And if we can educate, let's educate. If we got to go to Rome so Spain hears us, let's do it. We have the internet. We can talk worldwide. Get the attention of one, and they'll get the attention of the other.
Yeah.
We don't have to get the attention of everybody, just the people that talk.
Yeah. I'm not stopping at Missouri. I'm fighting for this initiative strongly, but we have to address it at every level. County, state, federal, all of it.
Yeah, I think maybe those Romans and Spaniards might be ahead of us a little bit.
Because when I talk to my neighbors,
Spain is where the gal that the Dr. Sanchez, the doctor who discovered the process of the apoptosis with the THC inside the cancerous cells, reprogramming the DNA so that the cancerous cells started dying instead of just infinitely reproducing themselves. So yeah, there's a lot of more progressive movement, at least in Spain, that I know of.
Well, and how often did they ask, what do you want to do to Miss America? And they're find a cure for cancer. That used to be the saying. There is a cure for cancer. I know a lot of people don't like us to say it, but actually there are several things that do help with it. And they're all being squashed. not being allowed. Why are we allowing big pharma and big money
to squash the truth?
Yeah. Time for this to stop.
Knowledge is growing and growing and growing. Maybe it's time for everybody to start listening to what that knowledge has come up with.
Well, they make a lot of money off the lies they tell people, and that money buys them power to tell more lies and make more money.
But it doesn't make it right. And if we have the truth and the gumption to come forth with it, and we stand together, we can make a change.
I believe so. I truly do.
Oh.
It is. I'm always. That was going to be one of my questions earlier, and Pat already brought it up. Was about is there a count on numbers of how many signatures do we have, and are we even? And I liked Pat's answer to that. It's not enough. There's never going to be enough. However many we can get, that's how many we need. All of them.
And if you use the gathering of signatures as an excuse to go beyond that and educate the people around you, then it's a win-win situation. If we get enough signatures, we got enough. And we're educating at the same time. So it's so important that it all works together.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt my feelings if instead of in May the Secretary of State has to, verify instead of 160,000 signatures on an initiative, it's 500,000. It's not going to hurt my feelings any.
Exactly, you got it.
Let's get all 8 districts to have enough. Show them the people really.
Right.
Yep. What we're shooting
for. Go ahead, Pat. You had a thought?
Oh, I was just saying, show them that the people really are ready. I keep getting, people aren't ready. The people aren't ready. Well, I don't know what people that these people are talking to, but the people I'm talking to seem to be pretty ready.
And that's the beauty of a ballot initiative like this. We get to bypass the legislature
and
by
the polls.
Take it right to a vote of the people. And all this reliance on polling. Polls have been
disastrous.
Increasingly fallible. They're no longer reliable like they used to be. It's just people don't answer their phones. There's language issues. There's just people don't want to take the time.
And the cost and the time, the hundreds of thousands of dollars, New Approach and Show Me Cannabis, Normal, whatever you want to call them, has spent in our state alone in the last, 4 or 5 years, polling and getting petitions and initiatives ready that never got on the ground and got signed. They're just spinning their wheels around, wasting money and time.
Well, what questions did they ask?
And
Who did they call?
Do you know anybody who was asked? I don't know anybody who was called.
I was called. I was one of the people called. And I'll tell you, it was about a 30 to 45-minute phone call with I don't know how many questions, and a lot of them were hypothetical what-ifs kind of questions that at the end of the question, I would be asking the pollster, I'm for ending cannabis prohibition. How am I supposed to answer that? And they didn't even know. I mean, it was so confusing. I wasn't going to be surprised at all, no matter what the poll results said after they tallied them and decided to write a medical-only initiative based on that poll. I was just flabbergasted because the questioning was so. I could not believe the kind of, and I'm an educated person, believe it or not. I have a degree. I've taught in classrooms. I think I can understand things fairly clearly for a dumb old hillbilly. And I was just confused. I was consistently confused on the questioning.
That's fascinating.
Well, and that's what we are trying to tell other people. What are their questions? Because that is probably the most. I've hung up on a whole bunch of polls because by the time I get 15 minutes or 10 minutes into it, they start asking questions that I can't answer or won't.
Yeah, there's no right answer, like not the answer I want to give. They're trying to lead me down some road that I don't want any of it.
Right. That's what I had the pollster who called me laughing, and I was laughing too because I was like, let's hurry up and get this done. It's taking forever, and I'm going to answer everything. I'll answer it as best I can. So let's move it right along because after whatever 15 or 20 minutes into the process, I'm realizing, I don't know what this is going to accomplish, but let's get it done.
Wow.
That would be nice to have a little write-up of what happened to you.
I wonder how many other people had the same thing and just gave them whatever quick answer that kind of fit the bill, but might have been thinking along your lines too. Interesting. Very good. Thanks for sharing.
Well, I reported it right to the the higher ups in the Show Me Cannabis community that I was polled, and they they liked to want to talk to me at first, but then when I told them what I thought, then they really didn't want to talk to me anymore. So,
imagine that.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And then then I started getting labeled and stabled and things like that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. So, I'm not surprised with what they came up with the 12 pages of stuff, and
here we have.
They have 12 pages.
I just want to make 12 small points to you. Well, I want to read 12 pages to you.
Yeah, and when I get done reading those 12 pages, I'm going to call my lawyer friend and have them read it and tell me what they think, because it's all kinds of legalese that I don't understand.
Well, I think that they had a room full of lawyers competing to get their ideas on it because
it looks as though that's almost like a competition and a pick out of the hat. I don't think something like this could be put together and asked to be put into the Constitution.
No single sane person would come up with 12 pages of paper.
I don't know what they were smoking in that room.
Oh, man.
Maybe they were in Colorado when they wrote
it. Time, yeah.
Maybe so. All right, very good. We're going to wrap it all out, and thank you guys for calling in. It's been a pleasure again, and you're welcome to call in anytime. We're going to keep doing this, and maybe we'll have you back as guest again on our show. Thanks a lot, and thanks for everybody tuning in and everybody showing up in the chat room and various places around social media. We'll see y'all next time.
Go find our petition.
Talk to you next time.
Yep. Bye.
All right, great. Thanks, guys.
It's the Hurd mentality.